All right, class.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so now, okay, so this is my 7th hour because everyone's amazing.
Yay.
Okay, except for Luke. Pay attention. Anyway, all right, so we're going to go through. This is factoring. Let's pretend like I paid attention for the last 3 days.
Yes.
Okay? Did I teach you something in the last 3 days that will cover this?
Yes.
Yes. Now, factoring. We know that all factors
Equals to 0.
0. Very good. So now, you could do this in the calculator. Okay? Some of y'all can't math. Some of y'all can't math. So what I've done is, okay, I've given you the tools to be able to at least get the correct answer. But to get full credit for these problems, you're going to have to be able to do this by hand. That's the full credit. So I'm going to show you this, and it's going to be a full credit thing. So let's say, for instance, you do it by hand, then you use a calculator, check your answer, and guess what? It's not right. Go back and fix it. That's the best way to do this. Now, I'm going to teach this using the ABC method. Some people know factoring already. I'm just going to go by this because it's one of the most basic methods. I teach this in college. Okay, I teach college classes, and this is what I teach. Okay, I start off teaching this. So there's very basic methods for doing this. So I'm going to start this off. A, B, and C. ABC method. So ABC is the coefficients. That's the numbers in front of the variables. So in this case, my A is 1, the B is 3, and the C is 2. Very basic to start off with. Now, the steps for this is going to be A times C. So, A times C. So it's going to be 1 times 2 is 2. There we go. Now, the next part of this is the two numbers that multiply to be C but have to add together to be my B. So, what two numbers multiply to be this but add together to be 3? In this case, it's A and C, right? It just so happened to be the same thing. But a lot of time you have to know multiplication. You have to know what factors. You need to know two numbers that multiply to be this, but add together to be this. Okay? We're going to get more into that in the next question here. So let's go ahead and, so we said the A and C, right? So that's the 1 and 2. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now. So I'm going to replace my B value with this. So my B has an X, doesn't it? Yes, sir. So these numbers also have to have X's. So I'm going to have X squared plus 1X plus 2X plus 2 equals 0. Yeah.
Can I just use the quadratic formula?
We are going to have it later. So quadratic formula is another method. Graphing is another method. Computing a square is another method. So each one has its own method and its own reasons. So quadratic would be verifying your answer. But isn't the calculator quicker?
Huh?
Calculator's quicker, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Quadratic is another way of doing it when you have to show your work, but you can choose any method. Okay? All right, so right here, we're going to do a factor by grouping. So I'm going to group 2 at a time. And this goes along with what I said about, hey, we need to know multiplication. So a common factor, what do both of these terms right here have in common? X. So I'm going to take out an X. So I'm going to divide by X. When I do that, X squared divided by X just leaves me X. Very good. And then X divided by X. What's 5 divided by 5?
1.
So X divided by X? 1. So if I divide by the same thing, I get 1. A positive 1. So plus 1 here. What do both of these have in common?
2.
A 2. But now in this case right here, I always, for this step right here, I always have to put the sign that goes with it. It's either a plus or minus. In this case, it's a positive 2. So I put plus 2, parentheses. 2x divided by 2. 2x divided by 2. Just x, right? Because 2 divided by 2 is 1, right?
Yeah.
And then there's nothing to cancel out the x, so it's just an x. And then 2 divided by 2. So positive 1. There we go. Now, both of these has an x plus 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use that. Since they both have an x plus 1, I'm going to take that out. X plus 1. Now, what's my leftover?
The x and the 2?
So it's x plus 2.
Yeah, x plus 2.
There we go. And those are my factors. Now, let's go ahead and since I've already told you guys how to do this and I showed you how to do this, let's verify this using my calculator. Verify using the calculator. So this is the same thing that we did last couple days, right?
So we would just type it on the calculator?
Yeah, do it in the calculator like we taught yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get there here in a second. I'm waiting for my calculator to load.
The 0 is...
It's always
Yeah.
equal to 0, right?
Yeah.
All factors are equal to 0.
Yeah. So I would tap 2 and then...
No. You don't need to because 0 is the x-axis, isn't
yeah.
it?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have to do that much.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pulling up my calculator now. All right, so got my scratch pad. We cleared the scratch pad already, so I have x squared plus 3x plus 2. There you go. Hit enter. There's my graph. Now I go menu, analyze, 0. All right, so x equals negative 2, right? And x equals negative 1. So I'm going to get back to my paper. So I got those answers now, right? We know that all factors have to equal 0. So I need to make these equal 0. Add 2. X plus 2 equals 0. There's my factor. Add 1. X plus 1 equals 0. There's my other factor. Super easy, right? Now, your job right now, I'm going to give you guys a couple moments. I want you guys to do this one right here using the same steps.
Number 2?
Yeah, you're doing number 2. You're doing number 2.
You're doing it. I have the zeros. So go to menu.
Start by ABC.
That straw is nasty.
Your faces. Because I add Kool-Aid to my water bottle.
You
Kool-Aid.
Where'd you get these from?
Huh? I've collected them over years. No, comic book stores usually. But like I said, I've been collecting them for years. You know, my house is nerdy like that too. I got like comic posters everywhere.
Oh, that's
Why?
embarrassing.
No, it's actual artwork that I
No,
like.
It's not embarrassing.
So even though I have it autographed and framed up and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. So you know other people put like crappy art of like whatever. I'll put some happy trees up there, you know. But no. Anyway, yeah,
Boring.
you are. All right, let's see if Salsa Bell actually did her work.
Okay.
All right, let's see. A is 1.
Oh, we're supposed to.
Oh my goodness.
I thought
What you been doing?
We were just supposed to do.
Oh, hold on. Didn't I say to do it? I said you guys.
Number 3.
No.
What?
Well, I'm stupid.
Smoke less crack.
You never said anything. He did.
I said do number 2. Didn't I say do number 2?
Yeah, I did it, but
I didn't do the ABC thing. Like, did
Yeah, I did.
Did you do it by hand?
I was like
I
working
just
on it.
typed
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm asking for. Good job. Thank you. Not you though.
Not by hand.
She said that's too much work.
See? I have shortcuts.
You have tortas?
Shortcuts.
Tortas.
No.
Is that Syrian burrito?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what's a Syrian breakfast? Cornflakes?
Olives. Yogurt.
See what she got it. She got it.
Yeah.
Say olives.
Yeah, olives.
Is it like huh?
You don't know what olive is?
I know what olive is.
Yeah, you eat olive.
I've eaten olives.
No,
Why
you
would you eat
don't.
olives in the morning?
Huh?
That's not.
I usually have a Syrian breakfast.
Different culture, dog.
Lucky Charms.
No.
Best cereal.
See?
You eat McDonald's for breakfast.
Hey, don't insult me. I will not go through there.
That's a random American. Like, regular Americans say that.
Do that.
No, seriously, that McDonald's gives you cancer. I won't touch that stuff. I wouldn't feed it to my Salsa Bell. That's how bad it is. All right. A times C, Salsa Bell, what do you get?
A times C.
Negative 12, thank you. All right, and negative 1. All right, Salsa Bell, what two numbers multiply to be negative 12,
A and C.
but add together to be negative 1?
Wait, what was the question?
I'm doing this steps over here. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 12,
Okay.
but add together to be negative 1.
Okay, so 12 and no.
Come on, Salsa Bell, that's what you're supposed to be working on the whole time.
You were talking to me.
Anjan, help her out, please. Negative 4
Good job.
and positive 3. Thank you very much, Anjan. Okay, so negative 4 and positive 3. Those two numbers multiply to be negative 12, but they add together to be negative 1, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and replace that. X squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 12 equals 0.
Oh.
Luke.
What's wrong, Luke?
What do you think's wrong?
Got it. Makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
The beanie's cutting off circulation.
I think he's hating on that beanie.
Yeah, I don't think he
He's being a meanie about that beanie.
No, what's happening is I'm missing the top half of my head.
What?
It's a camouflage joke. Salsa.
Okay. All right, now I'm grouping it. What can I take out? What can I factor out of that first group? Thank you. I'm left with x minus 4. What can I take out of the second group? Positive 3, right?
Yeah.
So I put plus 3. I'm left with x. There we go. They both have an x minus 4. And I'm left with equals 0. There we go. Now, I'm not going to have you guys check it in the calculator all the time. Okay, that's a skill that you guys should have by now since we worked on it for 3 days. All right, let's take a look at number 3 now. What do you mean?
Except for the 5 and 6.
These ones are close, but if you notice, my A actually has a number besides 1. That's what's different. This one, you have to do something first. All right. For number 3, I'm going to go through and start off ABC. A is 2. B is 1. C is negative 3. So A times C, negative 6, right? And they have to add together to be whatever my B is. In this case, it's 1. So, two numbers that multiply to be negative 6, but add together to be positive 1. What you got? 3 and negative 2. Very good. 3 and negative 2. Those work.
Yeah, that's what I heard you say negative 7. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
no, not true.
Okay, so replace now.
That's yeah, not today.
Why'd you put the... Can it be 3 minus 2?
Yeah, it can be 2. I always like putting the negative first. It does the same thing, so. It's just when you factor, it's slightly different. But your end result will be the same. All right, 2 at a time. What can I factor out of that first group? A 2 and an x, so it's 2x. And I'm left with just x, right? Because 2 divided by 2 will cancel that, so it's x. And then, so 2x minus, 2x divided by 2x, 1. So that means I'm going to have minus 1, right? All right, from that next group, what am I taking out?
3.
Okay, remember, you have to put the sign.
Plus.
Positive 3, right? And I'm left with
X, negative 1.
minus 1, right? All right, so they should have it in common, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
So I have x minus 1, and what is my leftover?
2x plus.
There we go. Super easy, right? Now, let me see if I could say this very plainly, very clearly. You, the student, will be working on 4 to do by hand first, right meow.
I'm gonna do it a different way. No, for real.
I like what you said it out loud.
You said I can do it.
On those other ones, when we get some later on, when it's you get to choose. Right now I'm trying to show you how to teach how to do it this way. So eventually you will have the option to choose however you want. You guys always start with the ABC. List out your ABCs and start doing the format. The A times C, and the something plus something gives you the B.
اوكي كيف بدنا نطلع 11 هيك واحد هيك نكتبهم هيك كان واحد ضرب 11 ناقص 11 بس الحين شو بدنا multiply they add together.
Okay, so this is these steps right here are usually the hardest part. So let's see if I can help you with this. So A times C gives me negative 12. And my B value is negative 11. I'm telling you, there is always one thing everyone always forgets when you're multiplying this. There's always one number that everyone forgets.
One.
1, yeah, right? So everyone forgets the 1.
1 and negative.
Yeah, negative 12 and 1, right?
Yeah.
So negative 12 and positive 1 gives me negative 11. So keep going from there.
I did negative 13.
Okay, what's negative 13 times 2? So it's got to meet both criteria there.
Damn, that makes a lot more equation.
ناقص 12 بلس يعني بنعملها replace بلس قديش؟ اعملها حركة بتدرس بلس ناقص
Answer?
Since this could be the same thing if I just divide them, can I divide
Yeah,
them?
you have to have 3 also. You also have to take out 3, don't you? Take out 3, that's what you got to do.
شو طلعت الفرق؟
Wait, but
Take out a 3. So 3x. We'll make it into that, right?
like out here?
Yeah, there should be a 3 there also.
Okay, thank you.
ليش تبغى؟
So what would come after this?
Equals 0. That's your done.
Oh, I'm talking about this.
Oh, this? Let me see. Move this over here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. and then you have that, right? And then they have to add to that. So plus, you're on this step right here.
I know that.
Okay, so two numbers that multiply to be that, but add to that would be that.
I know. I'm trying to think. I got it.
Really? You can't tell me those numbers? All right, let's see. 3x squared
Never mind.
minus 12x plus x minus 4 equals 0. Group. Take out a 3x, and I'm left with x minus 4. And what is one thing you could always factor out? 1, right? So it's going to be a positive 1 from here. Plus 1. And I'm left with x minus 4. So they both have an x minus 4. And what's left over?
3x plus 1.
Equals 0. There's my answer.
X minus 4.
Okay?
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
What did you do with the 12, negative 12? You divided it, right?
Divide by 3. You
Okay,
get
Why
4.
didn't you divide the negative 4 by 1?
I did. Because you always have to take out something here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I took out a 1, which gave me the right format here. So x divided by 1 is x. Negative 4 divided by 1 is negative 4.
Oh.
Okay? All right, so what's wrong with 5?
It's not equal to.
Very good, it's not equal to 0. So what am I going to do to make it that?
Change.
So x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So A is 1, B is 5, C is 6. A times C is 6. What two numbers multiply to be 6, but add together to be 5? 2 and 3. 2 and 3 multiply to be 6, but add together to be 5, right? Okay? X squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 6 equals 0. I'm going to take out, I have x, and I'm left with x plus 2. What am I taking out of this one?
3.
3. I'm going to take out a positive 3. X plus 2. And they both have x plus 2. So I'm taking that out. And I'm left with, there we go. All right, so I'm going to do this one also, because this one requires a little bit of trickiness to it. So right here, it's also not equal to 0, so what do I have to do? Minus 11x. So I get 6x squared minus 11x minus 35 equals 0. So A is 6, B is negative 11, C is negative 35. So A times C gives me negative 210. Now, as I said before, I do teach this in college. And we start with this, and there is a very easy way to actually do this. It's bigger numbers, but if you know multiplication, you should be fine. Okay? So now, what we still need to do, we're going to have plus, and right here, and that has to equal negative 11. So, I'm going to use factors, and this is one of the tricks that we use for this. So, factors. What two numbers multiply to be 6? 2 and 3. What numbers multiply to be 35? 7 and 5, right? Or 5 and 7, right? And if I multiply all those numbers together, I get my 210. Because 6 times 35 is 210, right? But if you break them all down into their factors, you could actually do it also the same way. So what we're going to do is we're going to use combinations of these 4 numbers to figure out what these two are.
Wait, how'd you get, what's 5?
What's 5 times 7?
Okay.
Yeah, we're breaking it down into factors. So watch this. What about 6 and negative 35? Is that going to give me negative 11? That's not equal to negative 11. So I just use those two together, right?
Yeah.
Now let's try 15 and 14. 15 minus 14, does that give you negative 11? No, it's not. Okay, so that combination didn't work. Okay, how about 10 and 21?
Yes.
10 minus 21, right?
Where'd you get the 10 from?
2 and 5. 2 times 5 is that's where I got the 10, and I got the 21 from 3 times 7. So I'm just doing different combinations of these numbers, and by doing that, if you notice, I got 10 minus 21, there it is right there. Because I'm pretty sure you don't know the factors of 210, right? All the numbers that actually are going to give you 210. So, right off the top of your head. So big numbers, you break down into smaller numbers and just use different combinations. So, like I said, I teach this at the college. Now, we know we have our numbers. So, 6x squared plus 10x minus 21x minus 35 equals 0. Okay, now I'm going to group them like I have been. But these groups are going to be a little bit bigger. What do both of these have in common? Let's start with the 6 and 10.
6.
You can divide it by
2. Because there's not a 6 in there inside there. Because 6 times anything is not going to give me 10. So they both have a factor of 2. So what about the variable?
2.
They both have an x, right? So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and x squared divided by x is x, right? And what about the 10 divided by 2? 5. So x and x, so it is a plus 5. Now for this one over here, I have negatives right here. I have a negative out front.
So
Now, what do they both have in common? Okay, they both have a negative, so I'm going to take out a negative. Now, what about 21 and 35?
You can divide by 7.
7. I could divide by 7. So 21, so negative 21 divided by negative 7, positive 3x, right? 3x, because the x is not going to cancel. What about negative 35 divided by negative 7? Positive 5. They both have this. And my leftover is 2x minus 7. There you go. So it works with bigger numbers too. There's a little trick for the multiplication. All right, we will continue with this tomorrow. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification button.